Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. On Monday nights, our community organizes a special space for young adults, those between the age of 17 and 28. We call this seeking culture. To develop the culture of seeking from a young age through college and beyond. One of our team members, she had recently described what this space is to her. Her name is Ashika, and she shared, being outside of this space is like snorkeling. And being inside of this space is like scuba diving. Snorkeling is very comfortable. When you snorkel, you mostly feel the waves, the water coming in your pipe. You see some fish. Scuba diving is uncomfortable. Requires much more in terms of equipment and training and a guide. And for those who scuba dive, you get to go deeper than the waves. You get to see the beautiful aspects of the ocean, the sea, our community, the vision of why we come together, all built on the trust triangle, is us scuba diving. Especially with the Bhagavad Gita, where we go verse by verse, word by word, on how to practice this. In chapter 13, Prince Arjuna asks, what is Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetrajna? Shri Krishna shares in verse 24, Ya evam veti purusham prakritim. I have now taught you what you have asked. Gunaihi saha, the qualities, the nature of these four is change. The macro and micro are changing. The impersonal and personal are changing. For many of us, change creates fear. Death is an extreme form of change, and one of our fundamental fears is fear of death. Some years ago, when I had come back from Bharat, and when I'm in Bharat, I always get glasses made. It's cheaper for me to get glasses made there. And so one day, and Chuka was very young, I had switched a pair of glasses into my new ones. I wanted to show Sheila so she could judge me on my poor taste. And when Chuka saw me, he was petrified. He started shouting and crying because he thought I was a different person. I had changed. Now, recently, I was helping Shuka in the bathroom, and our faces were really close to each other. And he's just looking at me with this smirk. And I was like, Shuka, what did you do? And he said, Appa, you look like a bear. Now, if any of us saw an actual bear, there would be not fight. There would be fright or flight or freeze. But you see, now Shuka knows. He knows that change is the nature of this entity, so he's less afraid. If you know all is changing, you live more courageously. And if you're not, then somehow you don't know that everything outside and inside is changing. My thought is, how do you not know this? You don't need Bhagavad Gita to point that out. Just pay attention. All is always changing. In the third quarter, Shri Krishna shares, Sarvata Vartamanopi, whatever way you were living, whatever your past is. In an earlier verse, he had shared, the way we have been living is with raga. So what comes with that? With vasana. But now you know, so you're practicing not attachment, but assessment. I'm going to share more insights on how to assess what's going on in your outer world, inner world. When you assess your experiences, the most surface aspect of living is our experiences. Like listening to a car, eating food. But as you assess, our experiences depend on our equipment. Body, breath, mind, intellect. That's a higher level of engagement. I don't eat all the time, but I have a tongue all the time. Our equipments depend on the ego. That which identifies with the body, which identifies with the experiences. But assess, the ego is not independent. The ego depends on existence. Because there's existence, there's an ego, not the other way around. When you assess, you start to detach from the experiences, equipments, and ideally, the ego. The theme of this chapter is to differentiate. That's what we're doing, differentiate that experiences and equipments are different. Keep on differentiating till you get to the differentiator. Who's the one? What's the one that's differentiating? The ego. We just do this in the wrong way. We compare and compete and so on. And once you get to that differentiator, what should you do? Surrender it. In the language of love, we use the word surrender. The same is being shared here, just in different terms. One more way to change our past into our present, from raga and vasana to being viraga and vivasana. Many times I've shared that the structure of the Bhagavad Gita is to communicate tattvamasi, infinity you are. There is a vachartha, which means the definitions of these words, which I've just stated to you. But then there's a lakshartha, which is the implication of this teaching. Tvam means you and I. We have relative conditions. Tat is not the micro, but the macro. The one with absolute conditions. We are the servants of Maya. Tat is Maya Pati. When you bring these two entities together, the created and the creator, and you subtract the common variable, which is condition, what then remains or is rediscovered is Brahma, or infinity. Once you renounce that you are created, you are creation, what also gets renounced is the creator, and there is only consciousness. That's why in the fourth quarter, Shri Krishna shares, Nasa bhuyaha abhijayate, the one who now knows they are not reborn. They come to understand and appreciate there is no birth. I'd shared yesterday a way to understand not being reborn. I'd compared clinical depression to metaphysical depression. And what is our trajectory? To be free of the mind entirely. To not be clinically depressed, to not be metaphysically depressed, to not even have a mind. Can you visualize that freedom? This works. I'm reading to you a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. After Sri Krishna had left his name form qualities, Rishi Vyasa describes Prince Arjuna. This is in chapter 31, verse 21. Arjuna preyasa sakyuhu Krishnasya virahaturaha atmanam santvayamasa Krishna Gitei suduktibihi. Reading the translation. Arjuna, grief-stricken at the demise of all his dear friends, sought relief in contemplating on the great teachings that the Lord had given him through his Gita. Prince Arjuna, his entire family, all of his friends were destroyed. We can't touch such grief. But how did he come out of such grief? By remembering Gita. This works. Next verse. Dhyanenatmani pashyanti kechid atmanam anye sankhena yogena karma yogena chapare. Joy. After Sri Krishna teaches a powerful subject, he recognizes that we need some reconciliation. He recognizes that we need to know more about the how. How do you feel these teachings? That's shared in this verse. I'm in the 4th quarter. Apare, some understand and appreciate what I've taught. Some differentiate through karma yoga. That is a path. What is karma yoga? The right actions with the right attitude. What does karma yoga do to us? Purity. I'm now in the 3rd quarter. Anye, which means others. There's so many different personality types. Sankhena yogena, their path is Sankhya yoga or Jnana yoga. What is Jnana yoga? The right Atma. It is a more intense or further evolved path than Karma yoga. But you do have to start with Karma yoga. The right actions bring the right attitude. That's Karma yoga. The right attitude brings the right Atma. That's Jnana yoga. In English, purity leads to clarity. What does Jnana yoga do to us? Clarity. And now the top line. Dhyanena atmani pashyanti kechid atmanam atmana, and others, they differentiate, they go past differentiation through dhyana yoga. That is contemplation or the right ananda. We know what the right atma is, but to surrender to that, then you have the right ananda. In English, this would be identity. Purity creates clarity. Clarity creates identity with divinity. Why is Shri Krishna sharing this? What is the content of this verse? For you and I to see how strongly he's holding our hand. Whoever you are, he's holding your hand to the path that will lead you to infinity. Please reflect. From inspiration to application, your application was to register for our independent study group on living the Gita. How many of you have done this yesterday by show of hands? Okay. I hope the rest of you will. I'm really happy that our Vedanta coordinators in Cleveland, they're actually gifting all of our teachers, Balavar teachers, Vedanta teachers, with a copy. They're printing out a copy of Prince Arjuna's questions. What a meaningful gift instead of a water bottle or a t-shirt. Your application for this morning, I want you to listen to the song From a Distance. From a Distance by Bette Midler. Many of you have heard this. Listen to this. Try to see how it relates to this chapter. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Safe, be sound, be serene, be joy.